Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a genuinely fascinating story of disruption. I mean, think about it. How does a massive software giant, a company literally built from the ground up on PC operating systems and office apps, aggressively muscle its way in and completely reshape our living room entertainment? Well, we're going to find out. Okay, let's dive into this. How exactly does Microsoft pivot from desktop spreadsheets to totally conquering the couch? The journey of Microsoft's console origins is just this incredible arc. It's packed with immense corporate ambition, some massive technological leaps, and, as you'll see, a few pretty dramatic course corrections. To really understand this evolution, we're going to map out the four major generations. We're starting with the original Xbox back in November 2001, then moving on to the genre-defining Xbox 360 in 2005. After that, we'll navigate the somewhat tumultuous release of the Xbox One in 2013, and finally arrive at the dual-release strategy of the Xbox Series X and S from 2020. So let's start with Section 1, the PC Protector's Gamble. Let's rewind to 1999. Sony had just announced the PlayStation 2, and they weren't just selling a game console. They were pitching this thing as a home entertainment centerpiece that played DVDs and CDs. And Microsoft? Well, they saw this as a massive existential threat to their core PC business. This panic actually gave birth to the DirectX box. Four Microsoft engineers from the DirectX team, Kevin Backus, Seamus Blackley, Ted Haas, and Otto Berkes, came up with this radical idea. They pitched a system built entirely out of common PC hardware components. Essentially, it was a Trojan horse to protect Windows. By running a version of Windows and DirectX, they made it ridiculously easy for PC developers to build games for this new system. It was a complete departure from the custom, complex hardware that other consoles were using at the time. And you know what? That bold idea became a reality in November 2001, launching at a super aggressive price point of $299.99. Housing a really powerful 733 MHz Intel CPU and built-in broadband, this box officially launched the Xbox brand. It proved, against a lot of odds, that an American company could actually successfully re-enter the console market for the first time since 1996. But of course, the original Xbox was just the foundation. Moving into Section 2, defining the modern console. By 2005, we entered a phase that fundamentally defined connected console gaming as we know it today. And the technological leap here was just staggering. While the original had a 733 MHz CPU and 64 megs of RAM, the Xbox 360 absolutely crushed it with a custom 3.2 GHz tri-core processor and 512 megabytes of RAM. This massive jump in power wasn't just about pushing prettier graphics. It literally unlocked entirely new, expansive gaming experiences and seamless multitasking. But hey, hardware is only half the story, right? Microsoft made an early and very aggressive bet on broadband-only multiplayer with Xbox Live. While competitors were offering free online services, Xbox Live required a paid subscription and a broadband connection. So why did it work? Well, because they delivered vastly superior servers, a unified buddy list, and killer software. Halo 2 is the big one here. Selling 8 million copies on the original Xbox, it practically forced gamers to adopt broadband, making Xbox Live the absolute premier online destination going into the 360 era. All of this momentum culminated in a massive milestone. Over 84 million Xbox 360 consoles sold worldwide. That number represents the triumphant peak of the Xbox brand in the traditional console wars. They didn't just challenge the dominant players in the living room, they completely disrupted them. Oh, and we absolutely cannot talk about the 360 era without mentioning the Kinect. The Kinect motion sensor shipped 24 million units. Actually, it holds a Guinness World Record. It sold 8 million units in its first 60 days alone, which made it the fastest-selling consumer electronics device ever at the time. It was an absolute phenomenon and a massive success in broadening the Xbox audience way beyond just hardcore gamers. However, extreme corporate ambition can sometimes lead to some pretty severe consumer friction. Section 3, the all-in-one stumble. So going into 2013, Microsoft's original vision for the Xbox One was highly restrictive. We're talking a mandatory 24-hour online check-in, strict limits on used games, and a required Kinect camera plugged in at all times. The consumer backlash was immense. And honestly, the final reality ended up looking very different. Microsoft had to rapidly pivot. They dropped the online requirements, allowed used games, and unbundled the Kinect just to win back gamer trust. Now, what's really interesting about this is how that early stumble visibly impacted the bottom line. While the 360 soared to over 84 million, the Xbox One finished its run at an estimated 58 million units. It was a sobering and very expensive lesson in the power of consumer messaging. Which shifts our focus to the ninth generation. Section 4, Powering Your Dreams Today. Launched in November 2020, right in the middle of unprecedented global chip shortages, Microsoft adopted a fascinating two-tiered strategy. On one hand, you have the Xbox Series X offering incredible high-end power, 16 gigs of RAM, a 3.8 gigahertz CPU, and a disk drive, targeting 4K and even 8K resolutions. On the other hand, the Series S provides a much more affordable, digital-only entry point targeting 1440p. Crucially, though, both systems share a unified architecture and boast incredible backwards compatibility that actually stretches all the way back to that original 2001 console. But as we look at Microsoft's modern strategy, we're seeing a massive paradigm shift. Section 5, Beyond the Box. The Xbox brand is moving far beyond a dependency on physical hardware, and this ecosystem evolution really happened in 3 distinct steps. Step 1, Xbox Game Pass. This subscription service fundamentally changed how people access game libraries. It's kind of like Netflix for games. Step 2, cloud gaming powered by Azure, letting you stream high-end games without even needing a console. And Step 3, expanding the platform natively to mobile devices and third-party handhelds, like the Asus ROG Ally. So Xbox is no longer just a physical box under your TV, it's a ubiquitous, play-anywhere digital ecosystem. And this brilliantly illustrates a major shift in philosophy, perfectly captured by Phil Spencer, who led the Xbox division for years. He said, "The business isn't how many consoles you sell. The business is how many players are playing the games that they buy, how they play." Basically, traditional hardware sales simply don't define Microsoft's core metric for success in the gaming space anymore. But hey, that being said, hardware is definitely not dead. Under the codename Project Helix, Xbox president Sarah Bond has actually confirmed they are co-engineering new silicon with AMD. They're actively building next-generation hardware across a range of devices, really leaning into the rising demands of AI and cloud computing, and targeting a potential 2027 release. So the physical box will evolve for sure, but it's going to be deeply, deeply integrated into their broader software ecosystem. Which leaves us with this final thought to wrap up our explainer. If the future of Xbox is less about the plastic box under your television and much more about a pervasive service that exists on your phone, your PC, and in the cloud, where will you play next? It's a massive strategic shift, and it leaves the entire future of the gaming industry completely wide open. Thanks for hanging out with me today to explore the data, the strategy, and the wild evolution of Xbox.